Hi, I'm Nikita,
And I'm Moses.
and you're tuned in to my prerogative podcast. And this morning, we will be talking about rejection.
Ooh.
So,
Have you
what's
been
your
rejected often, Nikita?
yeah? I mean, I've definitely had my fair share. I know what it
We all.
is very well. Me and rejection are really good friends, though,
I feel like
because go ahead. How do you
I
feel?
don't know. I feel like everybody gets rejected a lot, right?
Yeah, of course. But I don't think everyone embraces it. Like, obviously, it feels crappy, but I think that I don't know. I'm cool with rejection.
I'm cool with it now. Yeah, I think we all have a similar journey with it, where it's like you eventually get cool with it. Eventually, like, it's the
Eventually,
way it
it's
is.
like, right. It's like eventually you just learn how not to take it so personally, right?
Yeah, I'm like, that's just the way that you play the game. It's like that's just
Yeah.
sometimes you sometimes you lose.
Sometimes you lose. All right. So, rejection, according to Google, is a refusal or dismissal of some sort of proposal or idea or something along those lines. It also damages our mood and our self esteem. Rejection elicits swells of anger and aggression, and they destabilize our need to belong. Unfortunately, the greatest damage rejection causes is usually self inflicted, which is
Mm.
so very true. So the act of rejection isn't what causes our or one's inevitable demise. Like, I guess they can kind of prolong the experience of rejection and cause,
We do
yeah.
ourselves. I agree with that. You get all up in your feelings. Start
Oh, for sure.
start listening to sad music. Do sad things. It's like, oh man.
All right. So
That's definitely the
let's
thing about being sad. When you're sad, you just do everything to just you go deep into it, right?
think, I think with sadness, it, it spurs so many other emotions. So you can
Hmm.
just be sad, but on top of sadness, you know, doubt may start to creep in, or um, what is it? Self-loathing starts
Hmm.
to, and it kind of like makes that experience of sadness and rejection that much more intense,
Yeah.
and difficult to process.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so let's talk about the emotions that spur from rejection. So we have hurt feelings, loneliness, jealousy, guilt, shame, social anxiety, embarrassment, sadness, and anger.
Okay.
Do you think that we're missing any?
No. Seems like it covers loneliness, sadness, anger, embarrassment. Those are
So, what is your emotion most like? What is your most, I guess, emotion that you experience when you come across rejection? Like, which one of those emotions do you experience the most? Is what I'm trying to get at.
don't worry, I understood the first time. uh it's changed a lot over the years. Because I would say obviously sadness, like, if you really like someone, you get rejected, like doesn't work out, it's like, that's a bummer. Or maybe instead of sadness, maybe disappointment is the better word.
Hmm.
So disappointment is probably the most prevalent because you're like, oh, I really wish this would have happened, but it didn't happen. I feel like there has to be some distinction between disappointment and sadness.
You know,
You know what I mean?
disappointment wasn't on this list though, which is kind
Really?
of, yeah, I did not say disappointment. I'm reading over it because I think that that's probably the most prevalent emotion that
Yeah.
everyone, I think that's what we feel first, right? Like, or
Yeah.
do you think we feel sadness first and then disappointment? Like, I
I think
think
it
it's a
well
close tie between the two.
for at least for me personally, when I thought about just how I felt, I would say the first one is definitely like disappointment because like I really wanted this to happen. Like if I wanted this to happen and I get rejected, like they say no, it's like I'm obviously immediately I'm disappointed. Like oh,
Right.
I really wish it would have happened. It didn't. Sadness feels a little bit more visceral. I feel like it would have to progress to a certain point for me to get to sadness, if that makes sense. Like if we're on like let's say one date, two dates, and they're like, I'm not feeling it. Disappointment. I'm not sad per se. I'm mainly disappointed. Sadness would be like if like I don't know.
If you're down. Okay, hold up. So
Yeah, like-
what response, what emotional response does your body put out when you're disappointed as opposed to being sad? Like how does that look for Moses? Because I'm trying to I see where you're going with it, but it almost seems like disappointment has to come from sadness. Like and it may Okay, so how does the two look for Moses?
I think the two can be. I think the two can come in a pair. Like they can like lead into each other. You can get both at the same time. But I think if I look at them individually, there is like a difference. Disappointed Moses is like I'm bummed. Like maybe I'm a little lethargic the rest of the day. Like I just don't feel like doing too much else today. I'm not like I say sadness. Maybe I'm like sad, like maybe I'm crying or something like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna cry because I'm disappointed. Like maybe I'll just be, I don't know, I'll just be lazy the rest of the day.
That makes sense. So disappointment is not as, I guess, a down emotion for like it is down there, but sadness is like way, way down at the bottom, and disappointment is not as okay.
Like disappointment's here, sadness is going
a
level below. Where it's like, now, like
I got
I'm in
it.
my feelings. Like, disappointment. I wouldn't say you're in your feelings yet. You're like you had your hopes up and they got knocked back down, but you're not like oh my god, woe is
down
me.
in the slums.
Shit.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Like sadness, like life is awful. Oh my god,
Everyone hates me.
Everyone hates me. Like I'll be alone forever.
I know, right? I think for me, if I were to pick two emotions that spurs from rejection, it would definitely have to be hurt feelings and embarrassment. Especially if I like spoke it up to people and I like told people about it, and then you have to come back and say, "No, it didn't happen. It's already over."
I'm sorry.
I think that's the absolute fucking worst, is to like tell people, this wonderful thing that just happened or can potentially happen, and you're like super, super excited about it. Good. And then, they follow up and say, "Oh, how was so-and-so?" And you're like, "Yeah, that shit is dead," or "I didn't get the job," or whatever. So I think like embarrassment, because I'm like, that's the extroverted part of me, is I want to tell everybody about, good news, things that are happening, things that I'm excited about. I also process my emotions externally. And so, yeah, I'm like really quick to call somebody and be like, "Oh my God, guess what? This is happening." And that follow-up phone call is like, it's like brutal. Yeah.
I think that truly shows like the difference between like people. Cause like those are probably the two. Well, I was going to ask, what does hurt feelings mean? But embarrassment, definitely one I don't feel, because like usually I'll just keep everything to myself.
Oh, okay.
Like Moses, you went on a date with someone? Oh yeah, that was a while ago. Like
been there, done that.
Like
that was so the early part of 2022.
Like that was like back in January. Like, there's nothing juicy to say anymore. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But what is hurt feeling? Because how is hurt feelings different from, let's say, like sadness or disappointment? Because those are, being sad is technically your feelings are hurt.
Yeah, I think so. I would say that if my feelings are hurt, then I guess like I think with sadness, I think you described it to a T, to where I'm like down, woe is me, depression can probably creep in. I think with hurt feelings, I'm able to bounce back just a little bit more. And I'm not, it doesn't cause like a chemical reaction somewhere in my brain to where I'm now depressed and, certain, I guess levels like, what is it, dopamine or whatever are still intact, I guess.
It's like a lighter version of sadness.
Yeah, it's down there with sadness. I think I don't know where it would align with like disappointment.
I could see it being different. Like the way you described it, I think it makes sense in my head. Like we're saying sadness is like the lowest of the
lowest of the low. Yeah, yeah.
And I would say disappointment is one path to getting there, and maybe hurt feelings is like another path. I can see it that way.
Yeah, I think that they all come out of sadness. It's like levels to like sadness because I experience a level of sadness, but it may not be the ultimate. I'm just sad, right? Like I'm just sad. It's different from I'm sad because I'm disappointed. I'm sad because my feelings are hurt.
Like I think the way we're describing it, it's like I think we've all, if we're saving sadness for like absolute woe is me, then yeah, I've had like hurt feelings too, where it's like that's a big one where you're like that lighter version, like you're not like bawling your eyes out or anything,
right?
Like
right.
Like, you're definitely like that stung a little bit,
right? It's like if I was to just put a color on it, and you can put your color on it if it differs from mine, but like hurt feelings is like blue. I'm feeling blue. Sadness would be like a blue, purple, black. All kind of like
murky.
Yeah, murky as fuck.
Murky color.
Yeah.
Mud. You're stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. How about you? What's your color for disappointment and then for sadness?
I would also make sadness. I think a lot of people make sadness blue. I think it's like a common imagery, right?
My sadness isn't blue because with me, when I think about being blue, when I say, "Oh, I'm feeling blue," I'm just let down. I'm just, I'm a little hurt. I'm hurt.
Yeah. Not sadness. Hurt feelings is blue. Like, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. You're good.
I didn't separate it. Yeah, so sadness is like we're putting that as like you're in the mud,
right?
Like sloshing through the muck, feeling blue. Like, that hurt me a little bit. I'm feeling a little blue.
Right.
I guess I could see disappointment and hurt feelings going together a little bit because I guess I feel both probably at the same time in regards to rejection. Like, yeah, I'm disappointed it didn't happen. I guess depending on how I was rejected, I'll also have hurt feelings. Maybe that's the distinction.
Yeah, and then too, because I had to go back to like one of my Instagram posts because I did post this before to where I think when I think about sadness, I think about anguish. And I got this from Dr. Brene Brown on her Atlas of the Heart HBO special. But basically, anguish is an almost unbearable and traumatic swirl of shock, incredulity, grief, and powerlessness. So it's like definitely down there. Like down in the mud, like we were just describing. So, yeah. Interesting take on it. Okay, so the next question.
What were the other emotions?
So you have hurt feelings, loneliness.
I mean,
jealousy, definitely. Guilt.
I never felt that one.
I've definitely felt jealous from being rejected. Yeah, for sure. Especially,
really?
I think when it more so, I mean, this could even show up in like your career or, in your relationships, personal relationships to where, if you were going up for promotion and, your colleague, same level is going up for the same promotion and they get it and you get rejected, I could see myself like, damn, I wish that were me and not that person and feeling jealous.
Wish that was you, huh?
Right. Or like if a dude, if me and my friend, we were out and we was like, oh, he cute. We both agree that this guy is cute. and he comes up and talks to her and not me. Like I would, feel, but is that really rejection though? Like, because like I didn't approach him, but
maybe like a soft rejection.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I could see how you could interpret it that way. I think it's interesting because, like, I guess as a guy, that particular scenario I've never really been in before. Where it's like, is she gonna talk to me or my friend? It's like, oh, it doesn't really work that way for guys too often. Like, oh. But then when the second you
I disagree there. I think it does work that way for guys. I was just actually watching The Empress on Netflix yesterday, where both brothers liked the Empress. She eventually married the Emperor and became the Empress. And one brother, like, he was flirting with her first, and then the actual Emperor, asked her to marry him, and she said yes, and so the brothers were jealous. So yeah, it definitely happens with guys too, for sure. Maybe not with you, but you're like subhuman when it comes to, like, emotional what is it, intelligence. But Moses, I'm like denying you the right to speak for all men, because you can only speak for people on Mosasaurus level, okay? Like, that's where you can speak. Like, here's the average man, and then here's Moses.
You already know this is going to be the clip, right? This is going to be the clip.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, because it's so true. But
Nikita's finally going in on.
So it definitely, definitely. I'm like, hold up, let me stop you right there, because that is not true.
I was gonna say, it's like, man, she subtly just took a jab at me. Then you just fully committed to it. Like, yeah, Moses, shut the fuck up.
Because you tried to throw it in there. That doesn't really happen with guys. Like, yes, the fuck it does. Like, it happens. Yeah. It's on TV, so it happens.
Fine.
But yeah, sorry. You can continue your thought with rejection when it comes to.
I already forgot it.
Okay.
No. I remember it.
Okay, so there's also guilt.
I never felt. I guess someone rejecting me, I never felt guilt. Maybe me rejecting someone else, I felt guilt. I don't see why I would feel guilty if someone rejected me, unless, I guess, if I did something I knew was wrong or something.
Yeah, I mean, I can see guilt only on the rejector's point of view, I guess. There's also shame.
I've probably not felt that.
I can see shame.
I was like a teenager.
How did you feel shame? And
your first rejection
come from rejection.
I think like I can understand, like, in rejection, like you feel like it was you, like there's something wrong with you or something. Like, oh, like they rejected me, like, man, there must be something seriously wrong with me or something. And like I think I felt that before, but only very younger Moses had those emotions about rejection. Because I think when it was new, it was fresh. Like, yeah, you're like, oh my God, what is this pain? There's new emotion I'm feeling. Like, there must be something wrong with me. Like, but then, like, as you get older and you get through it a lot more, it's like, okay, like this is just kind of the process. It's just like,
when I think about shame spurring from rejection, I too think about like a younger version of myself. I've definitely felt shame after being rejected only when I did the most to, like, please somebody or to get somebody's attention, and they rejected me. And, like, I'm even, like, ashamed and embarrassed to, like, tell my friends, like, what I did, to not cause rejection, but to get this person's attention, and they still rejected me because, like, I did, like, I went, like, completely out of myself and overboard and, did the most, and they rejected me.
I think there was one rejection that I can remember in particular where I think I felt all of these at once. Just one.
Sure.
I might have to think of, at least for all of them, there's just one. For bits and pieces of others, There's probably others. There was
Oh, okay.
one,
Uh-huh.
but for all of them, like I think I felt maybe all of these at once. There was a girl. When did I? How long ago was this? This might have been. This might have been last year, or it might have been 2020. It's hard to remember anymore. It's 2 years
Oh, it
blend
was
together.
recent. This is recent.
This was recent.
Oh my
This was recent.
gosh. Somebody made my friend feel all of these fucking emotions. Like, we have to do something about who is this bitch? Like, point her out. I'm just
no,
like, all right, go ahead.
It was sometime in the past year, 2 years or something. So like I met her on dating app, of course, during pandemic. It's the only way. It must have been it had to have been 2021. It must have been. Yeah, it must have been 2021. Because we were all out and about again. So it must have been 2021. Met on a dating app. Really nice woman. She was like she was an actress in like theater plays, things like that. Super cool. Like she was pretty, she was fun. Oh my god. I even felt the embarrassment because my best friend Shelly some reason knew about this too, and it was the one time I ever told someone I was going on a date with someone. So I truly did feel it all. So like we talked to this girl, go on a date. We seemingly hit it off, right? Like, oh my god, we're feeling the chemistry in the air, bouncing back and forth, yada yada, talking, fun. Go on a second date, seems like it's great, fun. Go on a third date. Oh my god, this is really going well. I'm like, this is smooth sailing. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm in the clear. Go on a fourth date, and it's like, whoa, we're talking, we're going back and forth, yada yada. Go on a fifth date. She comes back, we hang out at my place. It's like, oh my god, this is like going great. Then immediately out of nowhere, like a few days later, never hear from her again.
Damn. You got ghosted after 5 dates? Hold up. Who paid for the activities? Was it like a shared type of dynamic?
I paid for most of them, but like she was also like a very modern feminist type of person. So she was like, oh, she wanted to split on some. Like, oh, you don't have to pay for all of them. Like, oh, okay.
Was there physical intimacy involved, or y'all were just hanging out,
a little bit,
in the get to know you phase?
No, there was physical stuff.
Like base 1 or which base?
Nothing like super spicy, but like, you know.
Okay.
We were making out and stuff.
What was it? The chemistry was good.
It all seemed great. And then even when she still text, like we were texting, then like having funny conversations, like bouncing back and forth. Then I don't know, she was gone.
Did she die, or do you know if she's still alive?
There's a second. There's more to the story, actually.
Oh shit. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So, obviously, I'm confused. That was the most confused I felt in like a dating experience ever. Like, I don't understand. Like, I was going through every emotion. Like, I am confused.
Were you like playing back like stupid shit you did? Like, maybe I shouldn't have fucking.
You go back to the text. Like, did I say something? Like,
did I laugh too hard?
Like you replay all the dates in your head. Like, when did I fuck up? Like, you know what I mean? You're
right.
Like, when did I screw up? What did I do?
Right.
You're feeling lonely. You're feeling hurt. You're feeling hurt because like, oh, she just disappeared. You're like, oh, I'm sad as shit now. Like, man.
Fucking anxious, waiting for her to like respond to your phone call.
But even then, it's like when someone ghosts you, there's a time limit, right? Where like, if you come back, like if you text again like 5 days later, you better have like a great excuse or something.
Yeah, I know, right? You know what? That's the next episode, ghosting. But go ahead. Okay.
But so I'm like, this girl disappeared. But the weird part is also that made it more confusing is she follows me on like Instagram and TikTok, like even back then. she didn't like unfollow me on that stuff. So she was still like just around. So I'm like, what's going on here? You just don't want to talk to me, but you want to see my face all the time.
Did you reach out to her on any of the social media platforms that you guys are friends on?
So I have a rule. My rule with ghosting is like, I'll give you a chance to respond, then I'll just send like one last reach out to you text, and I'm just gonna try to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I said I'm not gonna. Like, so no, I didn't really reach out there besides the one time.
Okay, but you said you give two, so you reach out and then you do the final.
Oh yeah, obviously I reached out like immediately after, like, oh, okay, yada yada. Then like you wait a little bit, like, okay, I think she's ghosted me. Like, I guess I'll send one last reach out, and if she doesn't respond to that, I'll assume she's with the wind.
Okay,
she's with the wind. But it made it so confusing because like she's still here.
I know.
She's still a fan.
That would be really confusing, I think. Was she posting on social media? Like,
yeah, she still posts. Like, she still follows me.
No, I'm just saying, like during the time that she ghosted you, was she still like heavily active on social media?
She wasn't like she's not a super active social media person, but she still would like post. Like, it wasn't like she disappeared. So like, I knew she was alive.
Okay. That is so weird. It's like, I don't know, like situations like that, like I'd be wanting a fucking explanation. Like, do you think that it is beneath one to want and feel like they're entitled to an explanation for situations like that? Or do you think that the adult thing and the fair thing to do is just to move on and let that person go, essentially?
I mean, as I think everyone in modern dating has been ghosted before. And I think like having that closure, just saying, "Hey, I don't think it's working out." Like even if you think it hurts that person's feelings, it's so much better than just like, "Oh, this person's just gone."
I mean, but can you just say, "Hey, I don't think this is working out," and that be the end all be all? Like, then you have to go into detail about why you feel like this shit is not working out. Because, people will be like, well, what do you mean? Like, you wasn't saying that when you were, last week or whatever. So, like, do you think it's easier for the person who's ghosting to just ghost you if they feel like the connection isn't where it's supposed to be for them? Or do you think that they are required to let you know why they won't be talking to you anymore?
They're not required to do it. Because like I think the whole reason ghosting is even more prevalent is because it's like so easy on the person doing it, right?
Mm. Okay, not like, required, but like
is it
ethically, yeah.
I mean, it would be nice. It would definitely give the other person some closure. So like, hey, let me at least slightly more easily move on from you and not think, oh God, I must have repulsed this person to such a degree that I think it's left.
See, I don't know, because I feel like if it has been like less than 2 weeks that we've been talking and it's just not clicking for me, I feel like that is a reasonable amount of time. Those short 2 weeks to just be like, hey, out of sight. Like, my silence is an answer for you. I think if it's like longer than that, or I don't know, maybe like a month, or I don't know. What do you think? Like,
well, I was thinking of it in like the type of situation I was in, like, but like, I agree with what you're saying too, where like, if it's like a week, 2 weeks or something, like even if it's not intentional, sometimes like I just got busy and it's like, I forgot.
Because
like I think there is a grace period of like, we're not like so attached yet. That
right.
Like,
right.
Like
I think
things happen, I move
because
on.
this has happened to me recently. I think last year where I was dating this guy and we went on one date and we talked on the phone a few times and we were still in that get to know you phase.
Yeah.
But after that one day, I was like, your pictures don't really look. I mean, like you don't really look like your profile pictures because we met on a dating site. He was a little bit more chunkier, and I don't know. It was just like I was super turned off. Mm-hmm. And so after that, I just kind of gradually stopped talking to him. But he kept like reaching out like, hey, what's up? Like, what happened? Or, and I'm just like, he was such a nice person that I didn't want to tell him that I wasn't attracted to him. So I just thought that it would be easier to like go in silence. So what do you think about that?
You have two options in that scenario. So if you go someone that early, but they keep messaging you, I mean, I guess three. At some point, he's probably going to stop. At some point.
That's what happened.
Two, I mean, you didn't block him. So it's like, you could eliminate that altogether.
True.
Sometimes that's the Moses way. It's like, because like, I don't want someone texting me all the time. Like, I'm done.
Damn. Just like that. Like, just block.
Moses is a rip the Band-Aid off kind of person where it's like, I don't want this on my conscience. I'm just gonna. Please, I'm a goddamn menace on TikTok. You say the wrong thing like 2 times, like, you're out.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
See you around.
That's interesting.
Or I guess you got to tell him like, hey, I'm not interested. Those are your 3.
I think
you
if it's
stop, you can block him, or you got to tell him something.
I feel like, but if you do go somebody that is telling them that you don't really like them like that. I think because you only really owe someone an explanation if, there was chemistry initially and it kind of like fizzled out.
I think
right?
I think it's reactionary because like you would think like you personally, like, if you go someone, they should take the hint. Some people don't. Some people keep saying, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing?
Hey, stranger.
What's going on? Yeah. Hey, stranger.
Hey, stranger.
Some people don't take the hint. Some people roll the dice and say, maybe she'll answer this time.
Okay, next question, because we just like really derailed. Do you think? Well, I guess that was like rejection too, because ghosting is rejection. So yeah.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. Do you think there is a different emotional response in men and women when it comes to being rejected? And I will give you what I picked up from Google. So what rejection does to a man. As guys, being rejected is a failure of their masculinity. And when this happens, men tend to become aggressive and broil the oppressor. When a woman rejects a man, he feels unimportant and unappreciated. And then for a woman, it says it can heighten anxiety and or depression. It can also impact self-esteem and lead you to look for reasons why you were rejected. So basically, with men, they're basically saying that it heightens aggression. And with women, it heightens anxiety and or depression. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's mostly stereotypical.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I sound more, because based on what you said, I react like a girl.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think
Moses is a character written by a woman.
And I know that some women, I know personally, who have been rejected and were hella fucking aggressive about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, let's go bust the windows out this dude's car. You know what I mean? Like, women have been known to do that. Like, that's not something that a man would do. And I think that that's hella fucking aggressive. So I don't agree with this. But do you think that there is a difference, though? You've keyed somebody's car, Moses.
I think it might be reversed. I know a lot of girls who get aggressive.
Right, I know, right? Yeah.
I was like, wait, this might be reversed. This might be a propaganda by both sides.
Right, I know, right? Like the man wrote the woman's POV, and then the woman wrote the man's. Like, and they were describing their own responses.
everyone projecting because, like, as a guy, it's like I don't want people to know that I get anxious and
I
my
get
self-esteem
depressed.
lowers. I don't want people to know that. No,
I don't
get
want people to
mad.
know that I internalize this rejection and, blame myself. But
Like I'm about to say, wait, this sounds like reverse rejection. Because I know a lot of girls who get really mad. It's like, like friends, like not like people I date, like just observing friends.
Yeah.
Like, huh.
yeah.
And a lot of guys are like, get really in their feelings, like, oh my God, man.
Oh my God. What about like, I've never participated, but I've known about like women having like male bashing parties, like after someone gets a divorce or breaks off an engagement or something, like they would have a party bashing men, or there's like clubs like that. And I don't think that that's like a man, like I've never heard of like a man having like a woman bashing party, but I have heard women.
Nikita, you might have
women.
just revealed some female Illuminati secrets. You might need to watch out. they might be. That felt like an extreme secret. Like Nikita might be coming for you.
Hey, I'm not saying any names, okay? Like, I don't think the person who told me about this follows me on Facebook. So as long as
Nikita's about to disappear.
as long as they don't listen to this podcast, we're good.
This is about to be the second clip. Nikita Illuminati secrets.
But yeah, I think that honestly, I think the response from rejection in both men and women depends on how they were raised and how they were taught to like deal with what they saw and how they were taught to deal with rejection.
Like I can understand, I can agree with that example, I guess to a certain extent, just because like I could see like some societal responses where it's like, oh, like maybe like your male ego or masculinity gets like, I guess, hurt, because I guess that's like how society kind of tries to project that on guys. And I guess I could see, I don't know if obviously not every guy experiences that, but I think to a certain degree we do.
But what
That
about
feels-
female not masculinity, but ego, and like them feeling like, okay, because I have big tits and the big butt, all men should want me. And when they don't, when, that doesn't work on like all men. And so when they're like, oh, ass and titties don't move me, and, like ignore them, that's like a blow to their, femininity, right? Because that's how they express their, go ahead.
I mean, like that's the thing. It's like there's people like that on both sides. Like they eat like maybe like I guess the ego type of person where it's like the alpha male dude, and it's like, oh, I'm beautiful, I'm hot, I'm ripped, every woman should want me, and a woman that doesn't. In fact, there's a dude on TikTok. He's like this conventionally attractive dude. He's like ripped, never wears a shirt. He does like street interviews where he just asks girls like, hey, rate me out of 10. And like whenever he doesn't get a 10, he looks like he gets absolutely like flabbergasted. He's like, why? Like, you're just not my type. Like, I'm not your type. It's like he can't fathom it.
You know what? I dated someone like that recently. Shut up. That's such an evil laugh. Fuck off, Moses.
I love to see Nikita fail.
No, but I dated somebody recently where he was telling me about like how this woman told him that he's not her type, and he wasn't attractive to her, and he was like irate. He was like, I am the standard of an attractive black man. Like, I am, you may not like me, but I am attractive. Like, that's subjective.
I'm telling you, beautiful people who have always been told they're beautiful, that's a different type of person. That's a different breed of person.
Man, I was like, are we really having this conversation right now?
Like they are
like, why are we even
different.
giving this energy? Like, it was so weird to me because it was so like, no one has ever told you that you wasn't, that was my initial reaction when I first saw you too. But, the person you were like kept my attention. But, like in the looks department, like, I was like, that was like that was my initial response. Like, when I first seen him, like, but, yeah, so I,
pretty people, beautiful people who know they're beautiful. They're different. They're kind of weird.
yeah.
Weird. You have to have that extra flavor of thinking you're a little bit ugly. That's the spice of life. You want to be attractive, but like not in your own eyes. That's the spice of life.
I think it's just like, we all have good days and bad days, right? So it's like, hey, it could, the pendulum swings both ways, right? Like it could fucking
gotta swing both ways.
There you go. All right. So what's the best thing to say after someone rejects you to that person?
Wow.
Okay, so I think we spoke about this. We spoke about this before the call when I dropped my little gem, when I said rejection is protection. So I would say thank that person because obviously that's really not what you wanted. It may appear that that's something that you wanted, but there's something better for you that the universe has for you. And so, when somebody rejects you, definitely thank them and move on with whatever it is that you were in search of would be my advice.
I think with my older Moses wisdom, is just say some closing line, like just be like, all right.
Okay, what's your ratchet Moses advice then?
Not ratchet Moses. Younger Moses had the idea that like younger Moses watched too many romantic comedies and thought you're supposed to do something more.
I love that. You have to fight for the love. Where's your boombox?
Younger Moses thought life was a Disney movie.
Yeah. That part.
It's not. It's straight up not. Just move on. Just go.
I agree.
That's the passionate younger Moses.
I love that.
He did romantic shit to try to win you back. He was like, "Wait, what am I doing? I'm just gonna leave." Older Moses is like, "I got other things to do. I got other stuff to do."
That would have been great, but
You know the issue with younger Moses is the first time he tried that romantic Disney movie stuff after getting rejected, it actually worked. And I think that gave him a false sense of like, wait, see?
Yeah.
But I was like, nah. That was the exception, not the rule.
Right? I know, right? What's that saying? It's like, beginner's luck. That's what it was. It was beginner's luck for sure. All right. How do you get over your fear of rejection? Or how does one get over their fear of rejection? Like, what advice would you give them? And I'll go first. I would say, just understand that no had nothing to do with you. I think, when we hear no, we take it personally and we feel like, I could have been better, or there's something that I could have done differently to get elicit a different response. But to be honest, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And then two, rejection happens to everybody. Like, it's not personally. Yeah. Don't take it personal. It's just a part of life. Like, that would be my advice. How about you?
I would say something similar in the sense of the rejection is that's part of the dating process. Not everyone you date is going to say yes. Like sometimes you're going to get a no, and that's like not really your fault. Like some people just don't mesh. Maybe you thought maybe that's why you go on the date, like to see like, hey, is something going on here? Like, I don't think so. Like, you know what? That's fine. And anytime. That's the most Moses response.
I know, right? It's okay.
You know I've said that in person before, right? Whatever.
Did you throw your hands up too?
Yeah, that's why I got rejected. Like, Moses, you're kind of weird. Eh? Not everyone's cup of tea. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh my gosh.
But no, that's the other thing too. It's like, you know, you're not everyone's cup of tea. Be yourself. Not everyone's going to be in love with you. But just keep being yourself. You'll find someone. Every rejection I've ever been in that felt like hell, that felt sad, I always remembered a few months later, I got over it.
This too shall
There's
pass.
always another side.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know, like that girl, I thought she was the one. Then you go on a date with another girl. Oh, I thought she was the one. It's like, oh, well, there was another.
Everybody's the one, Moses. You didn't know that. We're all one.
You realize, like there's another one. There's always been another one.
There's plenty of fish in the sea. That is so true, and it's. I don't know if this is unfortunate, but I just learned that like last year.
That saying?
No, not the saying, but the actual act itself. Like, you know, somebody better comes along, because like I would like hold dear to like my relationships. Like, oh my God, that person was so awesome. You know, I don't think I really embraced change too much, you know, my younger self. So it was just like, what can I do to make this work, as opposed to having to start this over? And like, you know, the notion that no one is like this person and I really want this person. So I would like kind of live there for a minute, like, you know, in that I guess phase of, I don't know if it was the letting go phase. What is it? If it's the 5 stages of grief or rejection, what's the one where you try to rationalize something like that? Like I would try to rationalize it. As opposed to like moving on. And then like recently, like last year, like I think I was in like maybe 5 different relationships, and it was like one after another, and they were like all great guys, and I was like, oh my God, like duh, when you throw one back, like somebody just as awesome is gonna come along. And so I just learned that. So
like I think the more you date, the more you realize that's the case. Because like,
did you pull it up?
Oh yeah, the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Okay,
so the denial. I stayed in denial for a long time. Denial and bargaining, I think.
With that one girl who goes to me, I definitely I zoomed through all of these. Well, wait. I zoomed through the
how many miles per hour?
Took a bit. I think one day for each of them.
Damn, that's good. That's actually really good. Okay, hold up. I have another question because I know we have to drop. I actually have 2, but hopefully. Okay, so is saying no, I'm tired, I don't want to have sex tonight, a form of rejection?
I mean, I guess technically. Well, not like, I don't think it's like a bad thing, but I guess if you're being like technical, you're rejecting an idea.
Okay, but is it an acceptable form of rejection then?
Sure.
Because on the other end of it, if you say yes, but you really don't want to do it, it's almost like you're rejecting yourself.
I think everyone should be allowed to say no. Like, you know, some nights you're not feeling, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship, I think that's understandable.
Okay, I agree. And then the last question is, what's the difference in being rejected in relationships versus being rejected when looking for a job? Because one feels more crappier than the other. I mean, I think it's all emotional.
I think it's a less visceral emotion. I think love is like maybe the most volatile, visceral emotion we have.
Mm-hmm.
So like when that gets involved, it's like, yeah, like shit hurts like twice as much. A job, yeah, I'll get like disappointed, sure. Maybe my feelings will get hurt. Will I be sad? It's gotta be real bad. You get like, ugh.
I think it's the expectation that really is a key component in the difference, because I think like when you're looking in search of like a career and you get rejected, that's kind of expected, right? Like everyone knows that you're going to hear, 100 no's before you get one yes, right?
Mm,
And, if you do get lucky and you get, chosen for the job on the first interview, great, awesome. But if you don't, it's like, okay, all good. I think like with love, and when you really put yourself out there, I think it's more vulnerable.
yeah.
Because I think the expectation is I'm awesome and you should see how awesome I am and want me.
You're like,
So I guess like it's more personal. We take it more personally. Yeah.
like jobs are not inherently like super personal. It's like, unless you're like unless like something you like super duper love, and it's like an opportunity that would like your dream or something, like, oh, like I've wanted this my entire life in this particular career. It's like, oh, you're not going to get it. Like, okay, then I'd be
Devastated.
Yeah.
I
Like I
mean,
said, depends how much it affects you on a personal level. How,
that too, but it's like you may already have a job. So it's like, shit, well, at least I have a job.
yeah, it's like you're still
the bargain,
fine. You're still,
the bargaining.
it's like, you still got a job, you still get money. Like, okay.
Like, yeah. I think, I don't know, because it was devastating for me going through, different, like hearing so many no's when looking for a job, especially like the jobs that, I really like. That shit was devastating for me. And I'm just trying to think, like, I think it was the expectation component of like, I'm expecting them to potentially say yes, and maybe a candidate with more experience, whatever. I think just with like in relationship, it's just like personal. I guess it's personal, but I wish that I could apply the same concept though. I need to learn how to do that.
I think it's a fine line because, at least for me, because like I remember I told you when I was a kid, I get that personality test, and they were like, Moses, you're like 98% thinking, like 2% feeling stuff.
You?
From,
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I was just like you,
me?
but yeah, for sure.
So for me, actually,
Moses is a robot. He's just a computer.
Yeah. I'm a robot that desperately tries to keep being human. Because sometimes I think it's too easy for me to not feel something in a like let's say I get rejected. I think it would be very easy for me to move on and not feel anything. So sometimes I actively say, no, I should like process this on an emotional level too. Because I think it'd be I legitimately sometimes feel like I could just not care. But it's like that's probably not healthy for me mentally. So
It's not even emotionally, because that energy is still there. Those feelings, those emotions, and you suppress it. You just, put it in different parts of your body, and it actually stays there until you actually feel it and process it. So it's like you feel like, okay, I'm not getting away with it, but I can move through, emotions and rejections and those low vibrational energies quicker or differently. But really, like, you do have to at least feel it and process it, acknowledge it, and let it flow through you and feel it, and in order to get it out of you. Because if you don't, it stays in your body, and that's how people get sick.
or even just like
I need to check your chakras, Moses. I'm gonna check your chakras.
They're too powerful. That's the most you've ever seen.
I'm really curious to see if like your heart chakra is open.
That's when you find out I'm like an alien or something. It's like
You know, I think it's really interesting how fast your beard, mustache, this whole facial hair grew back.
it goes so fast, right?
I was like, what the freak? What the frick?
He had a mustache like not that long ago. Like
I know, right?
I'm about to shave it again. It'll be back in, like, 2 weeks.
No, don't shave it. I love facial hair, Moses.
Everybody likes the beard.
I
Some
love
people
it.
like the mustache though.
You know, I
There's now
like
two
the
camps.
gray, little touchy at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bad, not too shabby. But I mean, did you have anything else to add? I know I just like kind of went.
Rejection is hard. It's part of life. There's no getting around it unless, I don't know, you marry the first person you see. But
I mean, but in that relationship,
immune to it.
rejection, yeah, you took rejection, and then the other, aspects of your life.
Only like 1 out of 7 billion is probably going to never be rejected in their life.
I
probably not
think
the one.
everyone's going to get rejected. And I think that, it's really
don't give them
important
hope.
to learn how to process rejection and move through it. Because once you deal with it, you just move through it on a Moses level, like superhuman. You just like you said, you went through all 5 different stages of grief in one day. One day for each day. So yeah, that's that's the goal. Moses is the goal.
Am I still slightly salty? Maybe. Sometimes it'll show up on my Instagram feed. I'll be like, "Am I still salty?" Like a grain.
Just a little sprinkle.
Like the Moses comes to my shoulder, like yeah. But at the same time, she's doing her thing. I think she's in New York now, like acting somewhere up there. So I'm like, you know what?
Oh my God. Imagine if she like hits the big screens and really blows up. Like that's when that shit would fucking tear me up. Like
No.
I don't know if I didn't process it correctly.
No, here's the dream scenario. She makes to the big screen through stage on Broadway. I make it to the big screen through internet personality. We get cast in a movie as 2 love interests, and I'm gonna look her right in the eye.
Let it go, Moses. Let it go.
We're gonna get cast as the 2 romantic leads in a movie.
Hang it up.
I'm gonna look her right in the eye and be like, "Told you I'd be back." All comes back. You thought you got away, huh?
The one that got away.
You thought there was a way out? Nah. I took the long road.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I think it's a good place to end. Thanks for everyone. If you tuned in, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye. I'm still thinking about it.